For Chicago Public Schools, water has also become a big concern. About 1 in 3 schools have already tested positive for dangerous lead levels, and the number is expected to rise. The findings have prompted city officials to address the concerns of parents and find a solution.
What we want is an assurance that this is the priority.
Richard Myers, who will be sending his daughter to Jameston Elementary on the northwest side this fall, spoke up during a sparsely attended public hearing at Mather High School in West Rogers Park. School CEO Forrest Claypool assured Myers and other parents that cost is not an issue when it comes to providing safe drinking water for Chicago school children.
We're spending whatever it takes to remove any devices or any piping that might pose a lead hazard risk.
CPS officials, along with the city's health and water departments, are about halfway finished with testing hundreds of schools throughout Chicago. Nearly 1/3 were found to have lead amounts exceeding federal standards.
About 30% have shown at least one fixture that is above the EPA's recommended 15 parts per billion.
That limit, 15 parts per billion, was established 25 years ago. Despite that threshold set by the EPA, the government agency admits its own limits are too high and that no amount of lead is safe, especially for children. It can lead to behavior and learning problems, lower IQ and hyperactivity, hearing loss, and anemia. Just last week, the American Academy of Pediatrics issued a report calling for tighter rules on lead exposure and said existing lead standards fail to protect children. The few people who did attend the public hearing seemed satisfied with how CPS is handling the situation, including community activist Sandra Loss, who lives on the northwest side.
So I'm glad that, Chicago took the bull by the horns and has taken action, as opposed to waiting for the, U.S. guidelines and all this kind of stuff.
But Richard Myers is not convinced by what he heard at the public hearing. He still has concerns about his kids using the drinking fountain at their school.
They're going to be starting this fall into the Chicago Public Schools, and I'm probably going to be sending water with them.
In addition to testing all 660 city schools, public health officials are beginning to check for lead at homes on the south and west sides. Now, city officials acknowledge the water department routinely tests only the same 50 homes every 3 years, and half of those residences are owned by water department employees. Attorney Elizabeth Fagan has filed a class action lawsuit against the city over its handling of the lead issue.
By using employees to do the water testing, they're flouting the rules, they're deceiving residents about whether there truly is a problem in the city's water.
In 2012, Mayor Emanuel launched a program to replace the city's aging water mains, some 800 miles of pipes, many more than 100 years old. Fagan agrees the infrastructure, such as this water main project on Olive Street in the Andersonville neighborhood, needs updating. But she says problems occur when the water department cuts those lead service lines and then reattaches them to the new water mains.
When it does that, it's breaking into those lead service lines and causing lead fragments to enter the water system and enter our homes.
The Department of Water Management advises homeowners to flush their plumbing for at least 5 minutes to remove sediment, rust, and lead after a new water main is installed. But the class action lawsuit claims the city is not doing enough to protect residents from lead.
The purpose of the lawsuit is to seek medical monitoring or blood lead testing for folks that have lived on streets where water main replacements have been done, as well as to require the city to change those lead service pipes to copper piping.
But that would cost millions of dollars. About 80% of the water service lines in Chicago are lead. But city officials maintain the water treated at the massive Jardine filtration plant next to Navy Pier is safe because a corrosive chemical is added to the water. That chemical sticks to metal, coating the insides of the pipe and preventing lead from leaching into the water. Homeowners concerned about lead in their drinking water can do something about it by installing filters. Matt Schroll is the plumbing and sewer manager at ABC Plumbing in northwest suburban Arlington Heights. This is a reverse osmosis system being installed under a sink. It virtually eliminates any traces of lead. The cost is about $1,000.
There's a lot of possibility of lead in the water, not only from the system side of it, meaning the Chicago or whatever city you're in side of the water system, but internally in the house.
For example, any faucet made before 2014 can have up to 8% lead in it, and faucets made before 1986 could contain as much as 25% lead. Back on Olive Street in Andersonville, Lee Robbins, who's lived here for 25 years, says replacing the water mains without replacing the lead service lines doesn't make much sense.
It's like when you take a shower and put on dirty clothes. Well, you're putting clean lines over there, but not over here, and you run it back through the dirty pipes before it gets to my kitchen faucet or bathroom.
Chicago residents concerned about the water coming out of their taps can get it tested for free by calling 311.